Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today I'm with a very special guest, the one and only Goldenbeets.
Here I am.
There we go, man. I don't know much about you, but the one thing I do know about you that we're just going to start here, okay? We're getting deep already.
Let's go.
One of my favorite artists and one of my first guests on the podcast has worked with you a couple years ago, and he wanted me to ask you what happened between you guys.
Oh, shit. Who is this?
So, Bryce Bowden and Trey Ross.
Yeah.
So tell me about your guys' background.
Yeah, so I love both of those guys. I lived in Seattle from 2013 to 2015. Before then, just a little background, from Orcas Island, Washington.
Oh, okay.
So lived in Bellingham, lived in Los Angeles, would come back and forth to Seattle, always worked with people here. There were a couple shows where I was working with a rapper now going by Mikhail.
Okay.
He used to go by Dexamora.
Okay.
Who I did an EP with, an LP with, frequent collaborator. He was put on a couple bills with Trey Ross. I saw Trey Ross as, I was here when I was 23 to 25, so Trey must have been 21, just a ton of energy, into a lot of, when we chopped it up, just into a lot of the same stuff I'm into, like same sample sources, like both. I mean, this is something that Perry Porter, who's here with me as well. We talk about Brazilian jazz and all that stuff. I'm not big into anime, but anime soundtracks, big sample source, etc. So Trey and I had chopped it up, and immediately we was like, oh, yup, like we're gonna work together. So at the time, I kind of had a rule where I don't like to stay up very late. I wake up at like 5 a.m.
Wait, why do you wake up so early?
It just, my body one day started. You'll see. You're 20.
Yes.
When you're 30 something, you just turn into an old man. It happens. So I wake up early. I like to go to bed early. It's kind of prohibitive from regular rapper hours, right? Where you're in the studio and the show's over. It's midnight and people are like, okay, where are we going now? I'm like, I'm going to bed. But, at the time I had a rule where if you want to work with me, you come to me. Mm-hmm. So I want to, I'm always working a job and working music. It's kind of like the nature of it until you get to a certain level. And my time and energy is very important to me. And it's not a knock on anyone else's time, right? So much as like, if I have more time to make more music, then I have more music to offer the world, and I have more music to offer you if I'm collaborating with you, right? So at the time, I can't remember if I was in Northgate or Wallingford, but Trey would come through and we'd chop it up. He'd go home with 3 to 4 or 5 beats, and the man is prolific. Like, he's remarkable.
So when people first start producing, is everything they do for free, or how does that work?
It's different for everybody.
Okay.
That's a really good question. So in general, my rule is I have a minimum, and we'll get back to Trey Ross. Yes. But I have a minimum of how much I want to make at any given time for one beat, because it's worth something to me, right? It's worth my time. It's worth transactional energy between the both of us, right? If I make a beat for someone and they don't do great stuff on it and they put it out, it's not great for me. It's not great for our relationship, right? So I want to make sure that whatever I'm doing with somebody, if I'm doing it for free because they're a close collaborator, everyone in day one that I work with, it's in my contract. I don't charge them because we have shared goals, right? We have a shared vision. If we win together, we win together. If one person lose, we lose together, right? So I want to make sure that anytime I'm getting a beat to a frequent collaborator that I'm working with for free, that I've got the back end taken care of. Yeah. It takes off. I want shared success. But also it's marketing, right? It's like, I'm doing a song with you. I want to make sure that I'm going to get at least, what my minimum is back from it through a future interaction.
Right.
Right. So when a lot of people are starting out, you do whatever you can, to get known. Some people just have it like that and they come out the gate swinging, or they spend years honing their craft, which I suggest people do.
Right.
Before showing their shit to the world.
Oh, I have one thing. What about, like, I've had Elon Wright on, who has like the Ruby Room studio.
Yep.
do they charge per hour or something, I'm guessing, to be at the studio? Do they charge on top of to pay for the beat as well, or is it just you're paying for studio time, or like how does that?
I don't know how other people's business models operate.
How do you have your own studio that you charge people to go to and then beat on top of it, or how?
No, I mean, I am a beat maker and a producer, but I am not an engineer.
Okay.
I have engineered some songs, but it's not in my core competency.
Got it.
So I try to spend time doing the things that I'm good at and can offer the world, whatever's more valuable. So
right.
Most of the time, so like with Trey, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
We get familiar with each other. That's part of the process for me, is like wanting to know someone's story, wanting to know what their references are, influences, like what really drives someone to make music. That way I can read that person and say, like, I'm going to send you this and this and this based on the fact that we both fuck with Currency or Larry June or some shit, right? Or, whatever that is. We can go deep on sample sources. You can tell me the feeling or the energy you want, and I can say, let's go in that direction. But so the situation I had was just a house. It's just an apartment that my wife and I, just my girlfriend at the time, were sharing. You come through, we chop it up. These days, we drink some wine. But Trey would come through, right? And I didn't charge him for beats because I wasn't collaborating with that many people. So the best thing that could happen for me is for us to put some shit out. It gets attention. And we run it back, and we've worked on songs since that LP as well.
Yeah, you have a full project together, correct?
Yep.
What's the name of that?
Is it Stay Gold?
Oh, I think it is. Right?
Damn, I'm a piece of shit for not knowing that. Something to do with gold, because he had a song that was Stay Gold.
That was like his catchphrase or something too.
Perry, can you pull that up so I'm not an asshole? But it was really great working with Trey on that LP.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess to answer the question, to come full circle, like what happened?
Yes.
Love the man, want to work with the man, want to kick it with the man. I'm not in Seattle anymore. I'm in Portland. So I'm not around, for one. Two, I'm not working on LPs with people like that.
Okay.
I've found, at least in my experience, it's most effective for me right now to collaborate with someone on a single. If the single pops off, then make another single with that artist where we're collaborating with someone else, so people's fan bases get exposed to each other.
What about this? So I feel like this could be the same for older artists who've had success and also younger artists. I feel like those kind of two people are kind of in the same realm because they know what they need in a way. So like I don't feel like a lot of younger artists in Seattle are working with older artists because they don't think they have a lot to offer. So I feel like that can be the same way for older artists who are successful. They might not think that other older artists who aren't successful have the same to offer as well.
I've got a really circuitous answer for this. This is something I think about a lot. So take a city like Atlanta or Chicago, which are two of the major hip hop cities in this country, right? You have a culture of mentorship. So when, the old, Brother Mike's, whatever the hell, after school program or whatever the hell, I have no familiarity with it, and I work with people in Chicago who were part of that, so I should know better. But like, right, you have Chance and No Name, Vic Mensa, you have like all these people who, because one person, they really hone their craft and they're great, for one. But for two, someone is successful and hands the keys to someone else, right? So you have this culture of sharing success and sharing the keys and sharing the know-how. In business, right, barrier of entry is a huge thing, right? And artificial barrier of entry is a huge thing in music industry. So there's a lot of, I think, people that are kept from being successful by people just not sharing the keys with each other, right? So like what you're talking about of older artists and younger artists working together, like, who knows if I'm a better producer than so-and-so young producer. But what I have is I'm 31 and I've got years, right, of experience to say, either just to say, keep going, you're doing great. Or to say like, yeah, if you want to talk with so-and-so, I'll put you in touch with so-and-so. Or, hey, you know what, the way that you're doing that, you're really good at this, but I don't know if you're very effective on that. Let's link you up with someone else who is effective on that. So I think a lot of times younger artists get a taste of success and don't necessarily have all the keys to continue that into another opportunity. And for older artists, right, maybe you've passed your wave. Like maybe, right, you're not part of the young blood, you know, that's like revitalizing a scene, right? But you still have a lot to offer. I mean, you look at a city like Portland, where for a long time, Cool Nuts was the biggest rapper in Portland, right? He has songs with E40, blah, 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 blah. If I'm being honest, there's rap shows in Portland because of Cool Nuts. The music that he's making, no offense, Cool Nuts, love you, man. It's not as good as a lot of the younger artists.
Like who's that girl? Winnie? Is it Winnie?
Win raps her ass off. I mean, there's so much talent. That's something that like I think goes unsaid. Is like people talk about. We were talking this before we started this episode, right? Like, there's a lot of talent in Seattle. People need to focus on the pros. There's a lot of talent in Seattle, Tacoma, Portland. We all need to collaborate on that. You know, we need to like share that. So, anyway, what I was saying about Cool Nuts is like he's the guy who talks to the fire marshal, talks to the venues. He has all the relationship with the venue owners. He gives people, you know, an entry into these venues, younger artists, younger managers, promoters that wouldn't have those chances. So there's a lot of benefit to be gained from younger artists and older artists collaborating, and also like I'm not sure age is even the right metric, right? Because you could be 25 and you could be way more wise and experienced than someone who's 35, right?
Right.
So I think everyone has their core competency. They have the thing that they're good at. They have the thing that they shine at, but like collaboration is key one way or another there.
Why do you think older artists don't really work with younger artists in Seattle?
Is that true?
I think so. I don't really see Jarv D working with any of my friends. Or like I have some pretty dope friends that are like pretty well known in the scene, right?
Who are your friends?
Like my best friend in the scene is Nestra. Do you know Nestra?
I don't. You know,
he was part of the residency that Macklemore puts on. So a lot of those people are really connected with artists. Or like, why didn't Jarv D or Kung Fu Grip have they worked with like Travis Thompson? Like I don't think they've worked with those type of artists either. They're younger. I guess they have success, right? But
you know, it's not always because the older artists don't want to fuck with younger artists or anything like that. It's just like Jarv D like has a dog and a kid and you know, I think a job. I think he's an iron worker, right? So like
not trying to hammer home on Jarv D this
no,
whole time.
I love no. Yeah. I love Jarv. Like, to be honest, I have met him one time. I don't know him personally like that, but like in 2011 when I wanted to enter the Seattle music scene, like he's a dude I was listening to, right? More Gang, all that More Gang shit. Yeah. That's shit I was listening to. So, you know, like.
But what about this? This is what my actual question.
Yeah.
Or example, like I feel like that Jarv D time, Samuel Chow, Nacho, Raz, all those guys, Gift of Gab, they're all connected in the music scene and they're all helping each other. So why don't, if they already know what it is like to help people and they see all these people that aren't connected, why don't they step in? If they're supposed to be gatekeepers, why aren't they helping?
It's not your job.
Okay.
So, like, at the end of the day, right, we all have this much energy, right? Yeah. We all have the same amount of energy. It's like, we go into this. But at the end of the day, you can't help someone that's not helping themselves, right? Okay. So you can put it back on the young cats as well. You can say, hey, why aren't you going up to so-and-so and saying, hey, you have all this experience. Please impart that wisdom on me and teach me how to do Seattle, right? Teach me your wisdom. It's my experience that it's as much as that. Because personally, like, unless somebody's a fucking asshole, I'm going to give everything I have to that person until I see them not follow through on those things, right? If someone asks me for advice, I give them advice. And I do this. Like, another conversation aside, but, like, we should never let the mid fly. Never. Like, you should be booing motherfuckers off stage if they suck.
Damn. Yeah.
For real. Like, we want to talk about artist subjective shit, but, like, it's our job, right, to put together a product that shows the Northwest in the light we want it to be seen in. So when we let the mid fly, it's no good. Do
people just not know it's good, or what do you think it is?
I think I work in marketing outside of music, right?
Right.
So I work with a bunch of clients who have an idea about what their business is. Their business means something different to their customers than it does to them.
Right.
So we are biased by our experiences, right? We have recency bias. We have like, I'm immersed in this experience of who I am as an artist. Perry Porter might not have the same idea of GoldenBeets as GoldenBeets has as GoldenBeets, right? Like I'm aware of my bias, and I want people to fucking tell me, such and such isn't what you think it is, or blah, 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 right? So I think artists don't always have an honest idea of themselves.
Okay.
And you want to be honest. You want to be yourself. You want to let your light shine. But it's good to run that through people in order to put good product out there.
But what about people who've blown up on the internet and then they find success that way?
So think about this, right? Do you know the idea of diffusions of innovation?
No.
All right. Diffusions of innovation is like a marketing and sociology concept.
Okay.
Where, say I have a great idea, but I'm not very popular in my network.
Mm-hmm.
Say you don't have the same ideas I have, but you got a podcast network, right? Mm-hmm. So you can diffuse this innovation or this idea. I can have this idea and it cannot blow up, right?
Right.
You can have an idea, or you can have a shared idea and it can blow up fast, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if I put in 20 years of honing my craft and I'm prepared to go out on stage because it's taken longer for me to be successful? What if, at a young age, you pop off on the internet, but you're not ready to back that shit up because you don't have the life experience?
Mm.
There's different skill sets.
Do you think there's like a good age to blow up?
No. Like, I have no idea. I haven't experienced that. It's
Right.
been a long, slow climb for me. But I do think like having an open mind and always being a perpetual student is like the key. Always being curious, always being interested, always keeping curious and interesting people around you.
Do you think if all these, like, if you put everyone in the Seattle music scene that's talented in like LA or Atlanta, do you think they'd blow up though?
No. I mean, I think that's a great question. So
Not even changing who they are, literally just right now, and took them there. Versus
if they grew up there,
that'd
yeah.
be different.
If they grew up there, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But like transplants are different, right? People aren't going to put transplants on the same way.
Yeah.
So it's that culture of mentorship, I think, for one. But two, it's my opinion. I'm not going to say this as like an absolute fact, right? But if you think about, I think LA and New York are unique because they're big ass cities and they're just historically huge cities in hip hop.
Yeah.
But cities like Chicago and Atlanta had the benefit of huge media platforms absolutely boosting the scene, right?
Mm.
So like Noisy and Vice,
Yeah.
both in Atlanta and in Chicago, really blowing those scenes up. And we have the capital here.
Yeah.
Like we have Amazon, we have Microsoft. We have companies. We could get into capitalism and culture and shit, right? Like we have companies that have the capital and have the resources to support a cultural scene. We have city tax structure that could be harder on those corporations in order to drive more taxes to have a city-driven or a state-driven cultural scene.
Mm-hmm.
We have the talent here.
Dude,
We don't have the infrastructure and to boom someone up the same way those cities do.
Well, can you explain that taxing the city to bring in culture? Like, how does...
Oh, let's fucking go. Think about countries like Norway or Sweden, right?
Okay.
They're small countries comparatively. Their pop scene is incredible.
Okay.
Like all that shit, NSYNC, Britney Spears, like all that 90s pop shit, those writers were Scandinavian. Not all of them exclusively, right? But they have tax subsidies for artist grants. Like their taxes go to an actual quality of life, right? Where like people don't have to stay tied to a job for health insurance, right? They have actual artist grants, they have residencies, they have all these programs that make being an artist like culturally appropriate, which here it's not, right? Here it's like you have to risk everything to be an artist. There it can be part of your lifestyle.
Wow.
So we could go about it two ways, right? A corporation like Amazon or Microsoft could say, hey, I think it would be of benefit to the world. I mean, they can't do it with tax structure, right? They have a fiduciary responsibility to maximize profit for their shareholders. But they could ostensibly say it's very important that we have a strong cultural scene here. And I'm just talking out my ass here. Like, we're going to make it so workers want to stay in Seattle long term. And we're going to create a strong cultural scene here that makes Seattle a great place to be, rather than the opposite of, which is what they're doing, which is...
Aren't they moving out of Seattle, though? Aren't the big techs supposedly moving out?
I'm not in charge of all that. All I know is that South Lake Union used to be popping. Like, I used to play shows at the Lo-Fi there. I used to love that shit, and now it's a ghost town. It's a piece of shit.
Damn.
And that's on Amazon.
Fuck Amazon. Fuck you, Jeff Bezos.
No, for real.
Damn, that's... So can we blame the Seattle scene's problems on Amazon?
No, but when we were talking before this episode about certain artists saying that they didn't blow up because of gentrification, like, I don't know if that's exactly true. But like what we're talking about, like, people can't afford to live in the city, so they got to move out. So you lose the cultural heart of the city.
What about when I was in LA, I booked everything in LA.
Yeah.
And then I had to end up, I lost like a couple $100 with studio time and everything because all the artists didn't even live in LA. So no one wanted to come to LA once I booked them. There's no parking. They had to travel like an hour or so to get there.
I mean, you got to travel an hour or so or more in LA. Like, that's the nature of the beast. Where were you at?
I was in the heart of LA. I was like fucking... Like,
what neighborhood?
Where was it? Oh, shit. Fuck. I don't... Let me see.
But that's just the nature of it, right? Some people live in the Valley. Some people live in Orange County. Some people, some people live in Silver Lake. Some people live in Santa Monica. Like, LA is a beast.
Where was I? My fucking Airbnb was on Oxford Avenue, and then the studio was only like 10 minutes away from there. So I was like really in the heart of it. And like, I had to go, like, I interviewed a ZZ Gibson. I had to go to fucking like Hollywood. I had to go like all over the place. And no one actually came to the studio except fucking J-Wop was like one of the only people that actually came to the studio.
J-Wop's the shit.
It was wild. I was like, I was not expecting that. Yeah. So it's just, you're just saying just culturally people have to travel far, so it doesn't matter if the scene's not in LA or
LA's just a different animal. LA's 72 neighborhoods. It's like hardly, when you're saying heart of the city, like there's a 72 hearts.
Oh, I know where it was. I was in the fashion district.
Yeah, like I said, it's just like, it's a bunch of different neighborhoods. It's a bunch of different hearts.
Okay.
It's a different city for, a whole lot of different people. It's a different
that's
experience.
True. Like I had this Mexican artist and he was just talking about the culture in like Boyle Heights area and all. I was like, okay, that's interesting. So do you think if we had like all the money and resources in the world, you could change the Seattle culture within like a year? If you like had all these grants and
No. I mean, it's you can optimize it. You can get it a little bit better over time.
I just want everything done right now,
That's a young man's game.
But so since you've been part, do you think the Seattle scene has only gone up, or do you think it's gone down and up and blah blah?
I mean, what is a Seattle scene, right? Like, there's been eras, right? There was Massline era, right? There was Blue Scholars in Common Market and Gabriel Teodros. Did I say Macklemore? Macklemore was part of that, right? And that was huge.
Yeah.
That was a huge era. Like, people loved that shit. That shit went national. People understood that. Like, when I was first living out here, Ross Island from Common Market was someone who gave me a lot of keys. Someone who said, like, you gotta drink less if you're going out and you're trying to meet people, amongst other things. But informed my politics heavily as well. But so that was a wave, right? And it sustains or it doesn't. I mean, the thing about music is, like, what is success to you? What is a successful scene, right? Like, a lot of the move right now in music that we're talking about, sponsorships, all that shit, is like, you gain your cultural capital, and then you leverage that cultural capital to make money elsewhere. So through sponsorships, through like, do you think Chance makes more money on shows, or he makes more money on hats with a 3 on them? Like,
Oh fuck.
you know what I mean? So like, there's waves of music that's culturally important and experiences that we share in creating memories, right? There's experiences where...
But LA doesn't go through waves. They just stay where they are. I
Yeah,
guess.
but LA is the heart of the industry. That's where the industry lives. So the end game is such that if you make it in Seattle, Tacoma, Portland, there isn't enough work here for you to get rich, right? You got to go elsewhere to do work.
But we could change that, right? Maybe.
I think we could change that. Like, I think that there's a lot of competition, right? We were talking about people being cliquey in Seattle. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm open to other ways, right? There's room for everybody. The thing is, like, the infrastructure doesn't allow the same ceiling that other cities do, right? If you want to be a hooper in Tulsa, right, there's actually only 30 cities you can go to get a professional job. If you want to be a professional rapper, right, and success to you means making more than $100,000, there isn't the industry to support it in Seattle. So either you create the infrastructure that creates the incentive for people to stay, or you create the culture of mentorship that allows people to learn how to get the bag and bring it back. There's a lot of different ways to do it. We just have to be more collaborative, and we can't let the mid fly.
But why aren't people doing that right now? Like, there's people who probably have money. There's people who do have money in Seattle, right? So, like...
Yeah, I mean, there have been eras, right, where, let's say, like, Rudy Van Gelder jazz era, right, where, like, there are rich patrons who are paying for someone to record an album to put it out because it's culturally significant, right?
Well, why is Kenny G not sponsoring my podcast yet?
Talk to him. Go, like, hit him up. You know what I mean? Like, ask for it. I think that's the other thing is, like, I mean, I think capitalism is a problem. People want to hang on to their shit. There's no incentive to build that.
Yeah.
There's no incentive unless there's a financial incentive, and the money is usually not in music. Like, that's, at the end of the day, the money is usually not in music. Follow the money. It's like motherfucker from the Wire.
But you can be a local artist and survive off local shows, maybe, right? Or no?
Yeah, you can gig 6 nights a week, and you can have a blown out back by the time you're 42. You know what I mean? Like, what do you want? What kind of lifestyle do you want?
Damn.
Like, in art, in physical art, right, you can name your price tag. You can say, my art is worth this. When Mock Hami does that on a rap album, people are like, you're a fucking asshole. That's not how much music costs,
Because
right?
isn't he new, though? Like, how... Actually,
That man is in his 40s.
How... But I didn't even know he was around until he just dropped his newest album with West Side Gun.
Right.
But, so, would you say he just popped off, though? Or did he have a huge following before that?
He has a cult following. He has people that have been following him for 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
His first shit was released in, like, 2004. So he's been playing the background, I think, getting money other ways. And it's only now, I think, that he's become part of the canon, part of the larger lexicon, right? He got his Rock Nation brunch picture or whatever, so now people are paying attention. But, like, there's people who are successful on the underground. There's rappers here. There's rappers like AJ Suede who have been, I think, a successful, like, working man's musician for a long ass time. That shit's only gonna build. I mean, you think about, there's so many different models, right? There's Tech Nine, right, who, like, just toured every single small little town, toured 325 nights a year for 20 years, and now can eat off of that, right? But it's like, what kind of life do you want to live?
An easy one that's fun.
Yeah,
I can make music. I don't know.
I'll tell you what, you don't get both. Like, unless you're idle rich, you don't get both. If you want to work in art, you want to work in music, you want to work in entertainment, you don't get easy and fun. You get hard and fun. You get easy and boring, right? But you don't get both.
Yeah. Damn. Well, let's get into your name. I looked up GoldenBeets, and I found some fucking beets that you can eat at, like, a grocery store.
Yeah, it's a dumbass name. I shouldn't have picked it.
Do you like GoldenBeets?
I do.
Okay, so maybe that's what inspired you.
So in 2000...
He actually spells it like BEETS. So it's like actual golden beets that you can buy at a grocery store.
Yeah, I spell like the food, but one word. I was on a road trip with a friend of a friend. So it was like my best friend and then his best friend from college. We were going to Rock the Bells in San Bernardino.
Oh, okay.
It was awesome. I saw Slick Rick. I literally bumped into Bass God.
Ooh.
Like literally in person, met the Bass God himself. Saw Jay Electronica before he was huge.
You need to check out you guys both need to check out IDK's new album.
I was bumping it yesterday. It's really good.
Dude, fucking he got MF Doom, Jay Electronica. I forget who else was on that song. Oh, West Side Gun was on that song.
He was on that song too.
Wow.
The one I really liked was the one with Sway Lee and Rico Nasty. It's like the Neptunes produced beat.
That was very different for IDK, I feel like.
Yeah, that's my shit. I'm a Pharrell guy.
That album's so good. Anyways.
Yeah. So on this road trip, dude's last name is Golden. I was like, hey, if you're a producer, you should go buy Goldenbeets. I love golden era hip hop. It's like where I come from. I make crusty, dusty shit. I make a lot of different shit now. But like, he's like, yeah, you should do that. You're a producer. And I was just going by my full name, which is a fucking mouthful. So
what is your full name?
Thaddeus Ginsig. There's one of me.
What's your like, ethnic background?
So my last name is Austrian.
Okay.
But that's like only a small part of it. I'm just a lot of different kind of Ashkenazi Jew, which is Jews that instead of like a Sephardic Jew was in Spain through the Maghreb in like northern Africa, Ashkenazi Jews are folks that went out of Israel up towards Eastern Europe and then spread out across Europe.
So you're Jewish then?
Of Jewish heritage, I'm a secular Jew.
Okay, because where I grew up, like there was a huge Jewish population, so I didn't realize until I left where I grew up that being Jewish isn't really huge. Of course, because of the Holocaust and all that.
Yeah,
but like I was so used to having Jewish friends, I was like, wait. It's weird to know a lot of Jewish people.
I mean, the other thing, right, is like when something like the Holocaust happens, we don't have to dwell too long on this shit, but like a lot of people, for one, right, a lot of people stop believing in God, so you get a lot of people that are, secular, of Jewish heritage, but not practicing. Mm-hmm. The other thing is like, at certain times in this country, right, Italian people weren't white, Jewish people weren't white. Mm-hmm. But it was very easy for a lot of Jewish people to assimilate into white culture. And part of that was abandoning your religion and abandoning your culture. So the reason also that Judaism isn't huge in a lot of ways is because people sold out that part of their culture in order to assimilate into whiteness.
Mm. And did you celebrate a bat, or is it bar or bat?
Bat mitzvahs women, bar mitzvahs men, and I did not.
You could pull a Drake when he did that, was it HYFR song with Lil Wayne?
Yeah, just run it back.
Through a fucking bar mitzvah.
Maybe instead of at 13, I should wait until I'm 39 and just do it triple big.
Oh shit! I better be invited to that.
There we go.
We can do it at the Space Needle. My goal is to eventually buy the Space Needle when I make enough money, and then I'll turn it into a studio. Wouldn't that be wild?
That would be wild. That'd be inspiring.
That's my goal, and have a skyscraper. So that's me. So, anyways, Goldenbeets. How long have you been producing?
Long ass time. So easiest way to tell this story: 7 years old, cassette tape. Taping hip hop from the radio. Nobody told me to do this shit. It's just magnetic.
Pirating, you're going to jail.
Yep, absolutely. The original pirating, just taping with a cassette tape off the radio. So I just always loved it. Always loved hip hop. Orcas Island is probably one of the whitest places in the whole fucking world.
Is that part of the San Juans?
It's part of the San Juans. 4,000 people, graduating class of 22. So there I was. There's no hip hop scene there. There's like a couple people who rapped, right? So MacBooks come out and they have GarageBand on them.
Okay. Yeah.
And in my head, I already know, like, okay, this is breaks and samples, right? And you put a bass line under it and you got some rap.
Dude,
shit.
It's so hot in here. This man's swiping off the sweat. They need an AC in this studio.
It's beautiful. It's summertime. My Mediterranean skin is turning green and glowing. It's beautiful. So MacBooks come out, right? They got GarageBand on them. I like messed with all the loops, but then I realized you can like import your own samples and shit into there. Shit. And so age 14, age 15, rest is history.
Damn. When's the first time you started making any type of money off of producing?
Shit, I still don't make any money yet. I would say 18, 19, making like $75 a beat. Working with people in Bellingham, Washington.
Yeah.
There was a crew there called Sunday Cypher. And basically on Sunday, people would get together, bring your extracurricular of choice, and even if you don't rap, you have to rap.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're there, you have to participate. Which pros and cons is you have to hear a bunch of people rap really poorly. The pro is that as a rapper and as a producer, so I like, you know, I rapped a little bit, but like really it helped me explore pockets as a producer and understand how to do that. So this sold my first beats back then, you know, here and there, have made money working on a project with people. Great thing has been making less money and making more of the music that I want to make lately.
How did you get in contact, or how did you form a relationship with Dayone?
So I've always admired AP and Jimmy. For the listeners out there, people have the misconception that it's all AP. It's a partnership between AP and Jimmy.
And how old are these guys?
I think Jimmy's 27, 28. AP's 31.
Oh, wow. So you guys are all the same age.
Ish.
That's cool.
Yeah. So AP and I have always just like interacted on Twitter. I really got put in touch with him because he had a podcast.
Why wasn't I put on that podcast?
This was.
Oh wait, I've checked it out actually. The Day1 podcast, right?
Well, there's what?
Isn't there a Day1 podcast?
Yeah,
that
but what was the old one called? Yeah, Town Talk. So the old one so this past one, the most recent one is Liv and Jimmy and AP.
Okay. Is it still around?
No.
Well, you guys are in a podcast studio. If they want a new producer, I'm already making. So I'm producing for Sam with Chow now. He's coming in like a couple hours after this. So
yeah.
If they want to make a podcast, I could be their producer. So just let me know.
Beautiful. Yeah. So there was a podcast even before that one where I was a guest on there.
Okay.
After producing for Dex Amora, they had me as a guest. Chopped it up with AP. We see eye to eye on a lot of shit. It's really, really remarkable. Like, he's louder than I am about it, but realistically, like, we have a lot of the same takes on a lot of shit. Jimmy was just like an Instagram and Twitter account that I followed for forever. I had no idea who he was. He just plugga. And this man has the most impeccable taste of anybody. Like, I pride myself on being huge on music discovery, like just digging, finding shit.
Same.
Jimmy blows me out of the water. Like, his shit is impeccable. He'll find you British shit you've never heard. He'll find you indie shit that you never heard. He'll find you trap shit you never heard. Like, I am blessed to be in a group chat on a daily basis with these guys, working my job. Pat comes through. Goddamn, this is great. So, linked up with Jimmy via linking up with AP. I kind of like a phoenix, like burnt myself to the ground and rebuilt my shit with music, where like wow. I always had this mindset that to be successful, I'm going to have to be successful making money from music. Like, that is what success is to me. And I got in a relationship. I was paying rent sometimes and sometimes not making rent on music shit, and that shit didn't work for me. Went back to school, got a job.
Yeah.
Had to take a break from music, but ultimately have developed a new relationship with it where it's like, this is what I love and this is what I do because I can't not do it. So as long as I'm doing it, I want it to be as valuable as possible. I want to create experiences that are really, really positive. And I want to take this really seriously, but I don't necessarily have to attach making the maximum amount of money at all times to it. So it just made sense after a certain bit where I had all these beats, like hundreds. Perry's got the folders. Where it just made sense. It was like, I need help. Like, I don't have the energy to send packs out. I'm in Portland. I'm not shaking hands with people in Seattle. I'm not in LA.
So you live in Portland?
I live in Portland.
Oh shit! You need to. I'm about to plan my next tour, and I'm gonna do it in Oregon because driving 18 hours to LA was fucking long.
That's a beast.
So I'm gonna do Oregon next. So I've already been lining up some. Well, I've been just writing down names that I want to have.
Hit me. I'll introduce you to folks. But I'm not outside. Like I'm up early, I'm to bed early. So and it's part of something I've been trying to do the last couple of years is like ask for help when I need it, identify it, not drive myself crazy.
Yeah.
So it just made sense at a certain point when I was already working with AP and Jimmy and day one, just made sense to actually, sign a contract, make it official.
And do you say you're a Seattle artist or do you say you're a Portland artist? Or?
I don't know. That's a hard one.
Right.
So I've lived all up and down the West Coast. I'm from a small island that doesn't really like help anyone understand me musically. So I'll usually say I'm a Portland-based artist.
Just hear an Orcas Island artist.
I don't know if you know what I mean. Leading with that is a curveball, because I don't live there. I don't even visit that much. I love it, but I love my family, but it's just so small.
Yeah.
But primarily I am working with Seattle and Chicago artists.
Do you make the drive a lot to Seattle then, or?
Since vaccination, I think I've been up here like 4 times. So.
Jeez.
Yeah, the first 3 or 4 years I lived in Portland, I didn't visit like at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of like reserved my energy, and now I've been back up having a good time.
There we go. And what's next for you, GoldenBeets?
So I dropped a beat tape called Sommelier yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Go
stream that, everyone. I keep looking over there, thinking the camera's right there, but it's right in front of me. Go stream that, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, just trying to push that a little bit, have it there as a portfolio piece, and it's just going to be singles and collaborations with artists. Trying to introduce, like what we were talking about, trying to get Portland and Tacoma and Seattle to be less cliquey and play nice, and try to work with people who I think are talented and introduce people who don't know each other who are talented on a track together to the world.
There we go. That's my goal. So my goal eventually, there's a lot of different goals I have, but one of my goals for the podcast is eventually, once I go through a lot of artists, start bringing on previous guests with other previous guests from different parts and just having them all talk together.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing. I mean, you brought up Trey, and like I probably just need to reach out to Trey and say, I love you, buddy. Let's work on some shit, because it's
There we go, Trey.
There we go. It's really helpful to put people together.
Yes, sir.
It's good.
So, what's a good final question? We've got a couple, actually. I'll ask you the same thing that I asked Perry. What are your top 3 Seattle artists, and also what are your top 3 Portland artists?
I'm gonna not answer that question. I'm gonna just give you 5.
Wrong answer.
I'm just gonna give you 5 people I like. I don't like doing top. I don't like ranking people. Like, I just like what I like. You know what I mean?
Country.
Fuck country music. But ultimately, and I think I should speak outside of day one because that's the squad. Tacoma rapper named Swanks is probably like my favorite rapper right now. Dude is fucking incredible. I'm gonna go Ugly Frank too. There's a Portland rapper named Matt Randall that I've worked with and I really like. There's a Portland rapper named Ep that I just started working with that I really like. And then I'm actually going to cheat on my own rules and say a day one artist because Kazadi is a producer.
Oh God, I love Kasadi.
Have you heard his rap shit?
Dude, it's dope.
Have you heard him rap, like rap? Shit blew my mind. Jimmy showed me this shit the other night. I've known of Kazadi for a long ass time. I've collaborated with him on production, heard his rap shit, and like I'm just saying this right now so it's broadcasted out there to the universe that like we got to put this man's rap shit out because it is so good.
Dude, he's one of my favorite artists.
He's the best.
I've had Mike Bogan on and he likes it. I need to have Dante Thomas on also.
Yeah, no, those 2 guys, I could give flowers to everyone, but like those 2 guys too. You got to hear Perry?
Peace, Perry.
Mike Bogan's talented as hell. Dante Thomas, talented as hell. Boca, talented as hell.
Hell yeah. Well, let's wrap this up. Everyone's got to go.
Yeah.
What is some final advice that you have for up-and-coming artists, creators, influencers?
Be yourself. Ask for help. Don't come empty-handed. Always bring something to the table. If you're asking for some sort of value, be sure that you're providing some as well.
Yes, sir. What is the easiest way to reach you?
GoldenBeets on all the socials. Golden, no space, BEETS.
There we go. This is the NAST podcast with
GoldenBeets.